Good day, my lovely students. I'm again with you. My name is Zaripova Shakerjan, and I'm an English teacher of Urgench State University. Today, we will talk about characteristics of a good language learner. If you are ready, let's continue. Let's start, not continue. So, So as you see, good language learners take charge of their learning. So how do you think? Why do you want to learn a second language? At first, they will know about it. Why they are going to learn, second language. They will have their aim. And secondly, how will it help you in the future? Of course, they will now answer again to this question, and they invest their time to a learning process. So as you know, learning a second language has a lot in common with learning like to play an instrument or to play to do sport. Okay, let's say to do sport. They all require like frequent practice and sustained effort. So as you know, in the languages, practice is in the first place. So you should practice languages all the time. Yeah, I'm not like I don't mean only English language. I mean all the languages of the world, German, French. They all the time requires practice, practice, and again practice. So like over time, learners, musicians, or like athletes receive feedback, refine their techniques, and develop positive habits. So for example, imagine that even in the learning process of English language, you may have like problems with grammar or problems with pronunciation. So in this case, you will practice your weak sides and you will improve yourself. Yeah. So while individual talent or aptitude can be a factor, success in learning a new skill is more often the result of other characteristics. So, how do you think? It's ambition, creativity, organization, or it's only the talent? So, of course, you should have ambition in order to learn a new language. You should have creativity, you should have again organization. You should invest much time to learning process to practice your language. Yeah, so again, keep like reading to find out the answer to these questions. To expand the short answers to the large ones. So for example, how is learning a language different from other skills? So how do you think? It's much more easier than learning, so for example, chemistry or math, or it's kind of easier than they. So what can you do to speed up that process? So again, you should practice. So as for me, you should practice as much as possible. So as you know, like language learning doesn't like language learning doesn't involve one skill. It involves many skills like besides the classic four. So classic four means like reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Again, like except them, we have phonetic memory, we have like ability to retain vocabulary and solve grammatical problems are also essential. So again, the questions. Do you know where you will put notes, vocabulary lists, etc.? So you should be organized physically and mentally in order to obtain a new language. So for example, you should have your notes. So for example, imagine that you will take with your notebook and you will write all the new words like to this list and never like forget them, never leave them somewhere. So, for example, nowadays many people use their phones, smartphones, in order to write down their new vocabulary, and they will all the time tend to read it. Yeah. Do you write down important dates? Again, you should write dates. It's not only like learning about languages, it's about all the other spheres. So make a mental feeling system of connections with previous knowledge. So for example, imagine that on the grammatical theme, your teacher taught you the same noun, and next day you are going to learn adjective. So please add nouns, please. At first, repeat nouns, and after that, learn adjective. Yeah. Next day you will add a noun and adjective. So for example, this day will be adverb. So you will repeat at the same time like three themes. So that's why try not to forget this. So, even though with the right approach, like a learner can reach a good level in a new language surprisingly quickly. So, for example, if you write like every single word, if you pay attention to dates, if you pay attention like to the previous knowledge, you will gain more things. So in order to maximizing your efforts, like 20 hours works like out as 45 minutes a day for a month. So okay, you are a busy person, so how about 30 minutes for a day in order to practice your language? A month isn't enough to know a language like inside out, but daily practice is a great start. I really adore this statement because in a 1 month you cannot get anything. But if you practice your language every day, like for 40 minutes, you can get something. Believe me. So they are creative. Of course, like language learners should be creative. Yeah, they get a feel of the language. They feel the language. Yeah, they obtain it. They get it. Yeah. So they will have fun when they are learning language. They don't afraid of anything. They are experienced. So for example, imagine that uh, they try to understand to learn the theme. Okay, let's unreal conditions. Yeah, the unreal conditions, and it's a grammatical theme. They do mistakes several times, and after that they are going to be like experienced once, and they avoid of like the mistakes. So avoid the bare minimum. Yeah, okay. Let's continue. They practice. As I mentioned, they practice a lot. It doesn't matter inside of the classroom or outside of the classroom, they try to use the language, the target language. Yeah? They seek for opportunities to use the language. So let's continue. They don't get frustrated. So it means like uncertainty abounds when learning a language. So they continue to talk and listen even if like they don't understand every word. So they don't shut out. So you see that a good language learner doesn't necessarily spend a lot of time studying, as long as like they spend their time focusing on what's important. Yeah, they don't learn every single thing, so they can maximize their efforts. Yeah, by this way. So this brings like you onto your next rule. So it's a fact that the 80% of the starters learn much like useless information. That's why they quickly like ignore the language, learning the language. Only the 20% of people can get the exactly the useful handy information, and that's why they are successful. Only 20% of people are successful in learning languages. So as for language learning, like it predicts that, I mentioned about it, 80% of your progress, yeah, will come from 20% of your training. So if you train 20%, you will get like success for 80%. So the statement is that like some activities are more effective than others. So, for example, like watching English TV series. So, for example, Friends. Yeah, it is the very commonly watched film. Yeah, it's not a film actually. It's a series. Yeah. So they use memory strategies. It means like mnemonic devices, sayings, and songs. Okay, let's continue. They learn from their mistakes. So as you see, they're never afraid of doing mistakes. That's why they achieve more than other like people. So make your errors work for you, not against you. So it means like, so if you did one mistakes, like okay, let's take a grammar theme. If you have done one mistake, so for example your teacher explained to you, Nasiba, it is not this, you should write like this, and it's like mistake work for you, not you work for your mistake. So again, they like try new things and work out the errors as you go. So you should try all the time new things. So they use what they know already, yeah? And so they take knowledge from their first language and apply it to a second language. It means like they compare the languages. Ah, in Uzbek language it's blah blah blah, and in my target language it is blah blah blah. So as a result, it will be much more easier to learn the language, yeah, in the way of like comparing them. So they use context clues. It means like not just in reading, but in conversations and interactions, they use clues. Language doesn't exist in a bubble, so there will be many different kinds of input that can help understanding. So again, if you want to understand something, you will understand it, believe me. So, and again, you should understand the body language and facial expressions. A good language learner, it's kind of people who find out their own way. So, for example, there is no one size fits all. It means like you cannot learn the language in one method. That's why you should have your own methods, yeah? So you need to try different activities and resources and identify what works for you. You should find the thing which works for you, and you should organize information about language. So it means like whether you prefer using pen or paper or the latest app, it's important to be organized and keep track like of your learning. So that's why don't think that, oh my god, I really like to use paper and pencil in order to learn a language, while the other students prefer smartphones, yeah? So like it makes like learning language makes you like makes your own opportunities to practice like using language inside and outside of the classroom. As I have mentioned about it, you should practice your language. It doesn't matter you are inside or outside. So for example, the activities you do in the classroom are important for your progress, but so if you like want you do out of the classroom, so you should always be on the lookout so for opportunities to practice. It means that you should find out the person who helps you to practice your language. So learn to live with uncertainty. One of the frustrations of learning a second language is not understanding everything like that's being said around you. So, like in most cases, people think that they should understand all the things in a target language, but it's not. So at first you will understand 10%, and after that you will like increase the percent of understanding your language. That's why please never afraid of speaking in a target language, watching movies, even if you don't understand, it's okay. Don't be afraid, yeah? Don't be like frustrated. Oh my God, I'm such a stupid person. I cannot understand anything. Actually, it is not. You are not stupid. You are smart, believe me. And you can get anything if you want. It's up to you, yeah? So for example, if you want to learn a language, you will learn. If you want to cook a cake, if you have a desire, you will do it. So in the learning languages, like never lose your desire, never lose your motivation, creativity, and only in this case you can achieve more things in life.